Hello and welcome back to the Yoga Life channel, to another coaching session. Today I want to help you discern whether you are setting your boundaries correctly and whether you are a selfish person. It's very easy when you're a good person to be worried about overstepping other people's lines, being too selfish, saying what we really need, saying what we really want, especially in scenarios like our own family. For example, with our kids, right? As a mother, I maybe want to just lie down, have a break, but my kid wants to have a play with me. Do I get up and play with them, or do I assert what I need? Maybe my partner needs a day off and wants to go for a run with his mates, or wants to take a short trip with a good friend, but I'm really exhausted. Does that now mean that I get to say, no, I need you here? Or do I overstep my own boundaries and go less? Of course, go for it. And there is no black or white answer to this. It's always a negotiation between what are my needs, what are your needs. So I don't have a one-size-fits-all answer. However, what I do have is a clear distinction between what selfishness is and what self-love would say or do. So bear with me and let's have a look at those two so that you can make choices that are good for you and that are beneficial for you, yourself, and hopefully the greater good. So let's have a look at selfishness. Selfish people don't care. Selfish people only look at and care for what is good for them in this moment, and they are driven by ego. They are driving their own agenda, and they will do what they need no matter what. And only you will know whether that's truly you or whether that only is on occasions that you are really putting down your foot saying what it is that you want. Anyway, a selfish person essentially lives in a win-lose world. There's only so much good stuff to go around, and I have to take as much as I can in order to hold on to it. And if you get more of a bigger share, then I am losing out. So that's pretty much the model of the world a selfish person will operate from. And we've all had those people in our life of occasions, whether that was at 2 or 3 years old in the sandbox, or whether it's been in our work environments or families. So we know what these people are like. And obviously, if we are good people, we don't want to be that person in our own life with the people that we care about. However, if you are not willing to assert yourself and make sure that you get your own needs met, then your cup is empty and you have less to give. So now, what does it look like to operate in a self-loving way? The whole point of this is that you actually do care, and a lot, about others, but also about yourself. You need to include yourself in that circle of love that you want to spread to other people. And that means that you are filling your own cup so that you have more to give, especially with your family. I'm sure if you have children, you've been in a situation where you've been running on empty for far too long. Maybe working a big job, having to organize a lot of stuff. Maybe your partner was away, or like me, you're a single parent. And eventually you didn't have much to give anymore. And what happens? You get snappy at your kids, you can sometimes be unfair to them, you can be short. And this is not you being the best parent. And it's the same in a work environment as well. So what we want to do is find ways to, obviously without ideally impacting other people too much, fill our own cup, recharge our own batteries. There's a thing that we all hear when we go on an airplane, right? There's this famous saying of, if the cabin pressure drops, air masks, oxygen masks are going to drop from the ceiling. And what do they say? Put on your own oxygen mask first, and once you can breathe and are safe and you are in your right mind, then you're putting the oxygen mask on other people who need your help, like your children, like seniors, like disabled people. So that doesn't mean you are being selfish. It means that you are giving yourself the ability to sustain yourself in the long run, to be the best you can be for other people. This is what true self-love looks like. It doesn't come from a place of ego and unkindness and uncaringness. It will only sometimes slip into that if we've been overstepping our lines for way too long. When we are really exhausted and tired and running on empty, then it can happen that we are then starting to assert that self-care in a rigid and harsh way. Don't even let it come to this point if you can, but try to be as sustainable and as proactive in that way as you possibly can, because we live in a win-win world. If I'm at my best, I have more to give to you. If you have your cup filled up, you can give more to others. So if we can all uplift each other and support each other, we are living in a much more healthy and much more functional way. Now, what's important in this regard is that you learn to have boundaries, and we are making more content on exactly that topic, and that you are willing and able to assert your boundaries, that you know how much do I have to give, and where is the line in the sand that is drawn, where if I overstep it further, I'm actually not operating from a good place anymore. How can you tell when the moment has come, when it's going too far? Foresight is the mother of all good boundaries. Think about it at a time where you're not under intense pressure and where you're not exhausted and not upset. You all know that when we are angry and sad and tired, we don't have our best communication skills at our disposal. So the earlier you can think this through, maybe with a cup of tea on a quiet day when the kids are out of the house or you're not working, wherever the boundaries are needed, sit down with a cup of tea and jot down what scenarios are repetitively coming up that are tricky for you when it comes to boundaries and feeling selfish, and then look at what would be the right thing. The more you can manage to take a bird's eye view on the scenario and not being too emotionally attached in the moment, the more you can clearly see what is the right way, what is the wrong way, and where can I have expectations of others, where do I need to have expectations of myself. It's the old story. If you are not willing to assert what it is that you need, if you're not willing to have firm boundaries, you cannot expect other people to respect them. You cannot expect other people to read your mind, to know everything that you need. It's your job, just like it is everybody else's job to keep their environment clean and safe. It is your job to proactively communicate what your needs are. Then we can save ourselves all the dramas and hissy fits that we get when our boundaries are being overstepped. Stand in your own truth. And that will allow you to, rather than coming from a place of guilt and shame or from defensiveness, will allow you to actually be proactive and create the environment you want. Now, in my coaching practice, it is actually not uncommon to come across people who have real difficulties with finding a way of asserting themselves and not feeling selfish. There is often a pattern that can be traced back to their family of origin. I recently saw someone, for example, who came from a very dysfunctional family initially with an alcoholic parent. The other parent eventually separated, which created a lot of tension. The child went along with the healthy parent and didn't see the other parent for a couple of years. She was then carrying onwards into her adult life an intense sense of guilt around cutting people out of her life that aren't good for her, and shame about having done something like this to a parent. I think if I remember correctly, that parent in the meantime had passed away, so there was also no way of making good for it. So what you need to do if you are in a situation like this, rather than unconsciously playing out the same old story, trying to make good what choices you made as a child, which were healthy choices. This was you keeping yourself safe or being kept safe by the adults in your life. Rather than you playing out that same guilt trip and probably inviting bad people or unsustaining people, unhealthy people into your life, to really see it for what it was, to have clarity around what happened then, and release yourself and cut those emotional cords to your past. You might want to work on this by yourself. You might see a therapist, you might see a coach. There's many ways of working on it, but don't let it fester. If it happens to you once in adult life, that might be an accident. If it happens a second time, it might just be a freakish coincidence. If you're having these same issues over and over with families, friends, at work, and in different areas of your life, the common denominator is you. And it doesn't make you a broken or bad person. It just shows that there is something that's unresolved in your past that you need to be looking at so that you can finally stop repeating old cycles and make choices that are based on who you are choosing to be right now rather than on past attachments. So I'm encouraging you to really take your time, sit down, take notes of what it is that you want to create. That's my old mantra. What's your outcome? What do you want? What's your vision for your life and who you want to become along this journey? And then trace it back to that kind of person that I want to be, that I want to become. What are their boundaries? What are their criteria? How are they choosing to bring people in their life? And who are they choosing to leave out? How are they choosing to step up for themselves and for others? And the more clarity you can develop and the clearer you can sit down, jot down notes, etc., you can then go on and in little baby steps, day after day after day, practice. And don't be too critical with yourself if you fail. Of course, you're not going to be perfect, but the practice and the consistency that you put into it are going to be what makes you perfect over time. Or if not perfect, who wants to be perfect anyway? But it gives you the skills that you need to step up a little bit more. And whilst you might not see yourself fully succeed at this game of boundaries and self-love immediately, you might see that within 6 months, within a year, and definitely within a couple of years, you will look back at your past and just be amazed at how well you are doing and how much has changed from where you were to where you are right now. It's a learning journey. And every challenge that gets thrown your way, you can actually see as an invitation to step up. Next time a toxic person comes overstepping your boundaries, calling you selfish and running their own agenda, see it for what it is and see it as an invitation from the universe to do things differently. For the first time to step up, hold your own truth, stand in your own power and tell that person what it is where you stand and what is and isn't okay with you, and then do something different. It's going to feel incredibly rewarding. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you like our content. If you do, please hit the like button underneath the bell button and join our channel, and we will make sure that we release new interesting content for you in the next few days. Thank you very much.